Hello, and welcome to my art update podcast thingy. Just the usual preamble here. The purpose of this podcast is to update people who know me, Andrew Woolner, about what's been going on creatively for me for the last week. If you don't know me and you've never heard of me, you might not find this podcast very interesting. You're welcome to listen, but I won't take responsibility for turning your crank, as an old TA of mine liked to say. Does it turn your crank, man? If this is your first update and you haven't been keeping up with me over the years, I suggest checking out update number 1 to bring yourself up to date before jumping back here. Okay, and on with it. Another busy week this week, so let's just get right into the updates. Okay, YTG show, Jekyll and Hyde showcase updates. We've only had one rehearsal since I last spoke to you. We lost our Tuesday slot due to having to resolve a double booking, which I'll talk about later. Tuesdays were the days that we had the main space all day, and that's really important because there's two levels. I think I discussed this in a previous episode. Second floor is a dance studio. First floor is like a dance studio space with lights and everything, and we're trying to spend that time in the first floor space doing the work we need to do, the experimentation we need to do with like lights and flashlights. And you really can't get the second floor studio dark very easily. So in both rooms, it's at least, so the second floor takes us, because we set up a Zoom session for the people who aren't there in person, it takes us like 20 to 30 minutes to do a setup up there because we have to haul the all the equipment up from the booth on the first floor. And then on our first floor days, which again used to be the Tuesdays, it's a 30 to, I'd say, 45-minute setup, depending on how, if we're using the stage lights or not, if we're using the projector or not. But like the full setup, which we've been doing, is really almost 45 minutes. We have to move quite a bit of stuff around. So when the Tuesdays were the only days that we could get the space for the whole day. And so now we're asking, when we go, we've switched from doing Mondays and Tuesdays to Mondays and Thursdays, and we've asked the ballet group that's in on Thursday morning, because there's only like 5 of them, if they can move to the smaller studio upstairs for the next few weeks so that we can actually have that time in the space. Because our other option is then moving halfway through the day, and that means that we spend like that 20-minute setup upstairs, then like maybe a 10-minute tear down strike, and then 30-ish to 40-ish minute setup downstairs, and then like a 25 minute strike there. So it's just such a waste of time. And it's always a question like, do we need the space more or do we need the time more? And right now it's really 50-50. So I'm really hoping that venue can get that ballet group on Thursdays to move so that we can get to use the big space. Okay, so we were just in on Monday this week. It was a bit of an anemic rehearsal, actually, if you ask me. Kate came in, which I was really excited about, but she's, it turns out she's really only available for like an hour or 2 in the afternoon, so it looks like her involvement is just that of a movement coach, and she's not going to be able to help us that much with the devising of new work. Marie, though, will be back from Monday. So I'm very excited about having her back in rehearsal. I think that will make things go better. And once she's back, we've got her sort of full-time in rehearsals. So because the only other person with experience has been Sarah, and she's been in and out because of the baby. And again, while I love having the baby in rehearsal, that means that Sarah's not there the whole time. So it's been just me and the interns. To be honest, and like the thing with the 2 interns is it reminds me a little bit of the process on the Peony Lantern a couple years ago, where I had to grab the reins and basically sort of whip up the show myself, sort of from a writing point of view almost. But I don't really have the time to do that with this one. I don't really have the lead time. I just made that decision at about 6 weeks to the show, and now we are at 3 weeks to the show, and I'm not having any time outside of rehearsals where I can actually think about the script. It had actually looked like we had several more interns joining us originally, but we don't, not in time for this show anyway. So there are only 4 people who can possibly end up on stage. So if you count me out, if it looks like I'm going to have to do the tech stuff because there's nobody else to do that, that's 3 people on stage, maybe 4, or sorry, We have 5 people who can end up on stage. So down to 4 if we count me out. Yeah, this would all be fine. I'd be able to manage this if I wasn't scrambling sort of for paid work at the same time. I'm feeling pretty daunted right now. I'm feeling pretty daunted. Okay, moving on. Podcasts, no updates. I'm not likely to start editing again until after April at this point because of everything that's going on. A quick Nerd Night update because we're back. 2 week and a half. We're back for Nerd Night, and yeah, the date had already been confirmed. We put out the publicity, and then the venue double booked the day of the show. So that is the mix-up that I managed to get them to let us keep that date, but kind of in exchange, I had to give up our Tuesdays in the main space. So that's what's going on with that. I'm trying not to think about Nerd Night too much, although I have to get on the publicity for that this week because I'm not going to have time over the next 2 weeks. I've really got to get that rolling. Okay, photography stuff, photography updates. So good news. The client that I mentioned last update got back to me and actually seems to have accepted my estimate. I had a meeting with her this morning. So this is a shoot. She's got 2 small children, a 3-month-old and a 2-year-old, and she wants to do a cherry blossom shoot somewhere near their home in Minato Mirai, the Minato Mirai area, which is reasonably close to where I am. So I was able to keep the cost down because of that. She doesn't have a place in mind, so I thought I would propose a couple things and she'd go, oh yeah, definitely that. But she actually hasn't been anywhere really that much. So I am actually going to have to go out and scout a location tomorrow, which is one more thing that I hadn't planned on having to do. She finally looked at my portfolio, which was good because she said she came to me through SCC, which is that NPO group that I do sort of volunteer stuff for, volunteer photography and stuff like that. But I talked to the president of that group, and she says she doesn't know her. So I'm actually not sure how the grapevine there worked. But yeah, she looked at my portfolio. She said she thought the shots were quite good. She remarked that I didn't do family shoots, but I guess that's because I didn't include any shots with the whole families. I just mostly did the kids stuff. My sample shots that I sent her didn't include adults because I really was sort of focused on selling, my kid photography. And yeah, she also told me she's talking to another photographer, so she might not even select me, but that decision is going to be made over the next couple of days. And I wonder why. Yeah, I wonder why. I wonder, maybe I'm charging less than that other photographer, which is why I'm still in the running, because she asked me questions and I didn't really give her straight answers, because she asked me things like, are you going to give more direction for posing and stuff? And I was like, well, hold on. I thought we discussed that we weren't going to, we're not really doing posing per se, right? We're going to let the kids run around and you guys will play with them, and then I'll try to get the shots. But, and then I'll try to fix any issues with composition. Because, yeah, I mean, when people are involved with their children, you don't really want them to be super self-conscious about the camera. Anyway, and she also accepted my dates, which is good, because I'm not. So peak cherry blossom season is the weekend of the 25th, 26th, which, if you'll remember, is the weekend of the big YTG show, the showcase. Not big YTG show, but the showcase. So I can't do it that weekend, but she accepted that we could do it April 1st or 2nd. If the blossoms look like they're going to start early, we might do it the weekend before, which I believe is the 17th, 18th. So that's good. We'll see. Other photography news, amazingly, I had a last-minute shoot. I got hired to do a last-minute shoot for an NPO conference this weekend. I also got that job through SCC because the president of SCC was involved in speaking at that event. So she got me in to do the photos. It was horrible lighting. So it was this big sort of conference roomy thing in a community center. Nice enough room, but the lighting was just really, really, really drab. But I think I managed to get some good shots. The key was really figuring out angles, just really trying to get as low as possible or as high as possible. High was obviously not easy in that room. I couldn't pull too much attention, so I couldn't stand on chairs and tables and stuff like that. But I got low, and I also tried to put, when people spoke in the middle of the room, I tried to stick them in front of the screen, so I kind of got the screen backlighting them and sort of making a nice outline. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm not sure when I'm going to have editing time for these shots. I shot 1,500, 1,800 photos over 2.5 hours. But, they also paid me less than my normal day rate. So what I charge for a corporate job, they kind of got the NPO rate, even though the organization running it is not an NPO. But because I was coming through SCC and she had given them sort of my normal, like what I normally get from them. Anyway, blah, blah. But because they're paying me less than I normally charge for sort of a high priority corporate job, I'm just going to work on this day by day, but not give them the rush treatment because there's too many other things going on right now. Okay, other updates. Japan show. That's the Japan-Canada show that I'm doing with Catherine Nguyen. We were supposed to have a meeting last Thursday. I canceled it. I just can't focus. I can't focus on this at all right now. There's just too much other stuff going on. So we put off our meeting till the beginning of April, and we'll revisit that project then. The big job that I've mentioned now twice, and I'm still not going to tell you what it is. I got some help on my cover letter. I'm still working on the cover letter. I was planning to rewrite it today, but I got stuck at the post office for 3 hours to finish the bank account transfer from the old union treasurer to me. So I think I mentioned in an earlier episode, I've overcommitted myself again. I've signed up to be the treasurer of the University Teachers Union, even though I only teach 3 classes a week, which is a fraction of what everybody else teaches. I figured the job would be pretty easy, but what's not easy is dealing with the stupid. So the post office, they're using the post office as a bank. So dealing with the bank, essentially. Anyway, so the cover letter thing. When am I going to finish this? I don't know. Hopefully, I was supposed to do a revision today, send that to my friend in Toronto, my dear friend who is helping me with it. And I didn't get her permission to name her on this, so I'm not. If she gives me permission in the future, I will thank her. And a couple other people looked at it as well. But yeah, I've got a big rewrite to do based on feedback I got on Sunday. Okay, right. Other than that union thing really has me stressed today. It was, yeah. Like I said, I volunteered because I can do the basic accounting stuff pretty easily. I would not have volunteered, honestly, if I realized how hard the transition for that bank account was going to be. And, and therefore what I'm going to have to go through when I give up this position eventually and pass it on to someone else. I had decided, actually, I was sitting in the post office, and I actually decided to myself, if this fails again, because this would be my second try, the first try took like 90 minutes for them to tell me I couldn't do it. I was like, okay, if this time it fails, I'm going to resign. So now I'm a little disappointed that I managed to actually finish the account transfer. What else? Not art stuff, but on top of everything else, taxes are due in a week, I think. So yeah, I'd planned this afternoon to do the cover letter and the taxes and house cleaning, and it looks like I'm going to get none of those things done. I got to go pick up my kid in like 10 minutes. So yeah. Sorry if these are like bummers. Thanks for listening. Things will pick up again soon. I think once I'm less busy, I will be less grumpy, less complainy, I guess. Less gripey. Gripey is the word I'm looking for. I will do less griping. I'm sure it'll be better once I get through March. Just so much stuff is happening at once. It's busy enough with the show happening, but with, trying to get this cover letter done, dealing with this union stuff that was supposed to actually be done last month, taxes, getting 2 photography jobs it's great, but it's just, I need, like, it's great. I need the money, and, but, it's rough. Anyway, thanks for listening. That's it for this week. Andrew out.